Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another video here from the Off-Grid Garage in sunny hot Australia. In today's video, we want to have a closer look at the Seplos Polo batteries again. Oh, hang on. Oh, parcel delivery at the front gate. That could be it. Please, let this be the one. Guys, this could be it. It could be it. Ah, no, that's something different. No, wait. There's a second layer. Holy shit. Oh my. Holy crap, look at this. This looks amazing. Oh wow. So guys, I am super excited. I think this is it. This is the brand new inverter style JK-BMS. And I'm really impressed. It looks gorgeous. Both sides of the BMS have been covered with these aluminium plates. They act as a heatsink for the whole BMS. You can see the balance and temperature sensor connectors on this side. The connectors for the communication boards on this side. We have two relays, two M6 terminals for the battery and load side. The battery positive for the current limiter. And we can see the inductor here, which is as well for the current limiter. And two connectors, one over here, which I don't know what they are for. The package also comes with the usual communication board RS485, RS232 and the communication ports for your inverter RS485 and CAN. 6 LEDs as a battery gauge, dry contacts for these two relays on the BMS, fault, power and run LED, reset button and the usual dip switches for paralleling these BMSes. Beautiful and large touchscreen LCD LED display. Start button for the BMS. More cables, a parallel LAN cable and another start button. And 4 bunches of balance cables. $900mm long. The Zollstock doesn't come with a BMS though. So let's have a quick look at the Hangsaw website on AliExpress, where this beautiful BMS is already available. So it comes in a 7S to 16S configuration. It is for lithium iron phosphate and LTO batteries, 100, 150 and 200 amps with a 1 or 2 amp balancer, active balancer. It has an active balancer. Guys, let's take a moment and think about this BMS here, which is the first industrial style inverter BMS, which comes with an active balancer. And of course you get this exclusively here in the Off-Grid Garage in sunny hot Australia. I am super excited. That is really one of the first ones they have delivered. Okay, back to the specifications. It is compatible with all the inverters out there. These are all the inverters you can imagine. I've not heard of many of them, but it works with them. Also, of course, the Victron system, no problem. totally Modbus compatible. They're still working and refining the Victron compatibility. A couple of weeks ago, I have sent them actually a Servo GX so they can do further testing and optimize the software to run perfectly with the Victron system. So I've got high hopes. The display is optional. This is not coming with the BMS. You need to fork out another 58 Australian dollars for the display. This display also works with all the other JK-BMSs, if they can handle a display. Or maybe you already have one of these displays. You can reuse it with a new BMS. The JK Active Balance Inverter BMS. It has a current limiter 10 amp or 20 amps, depending on the size of the BMS you choose. It is 100% PC software firmware upgradable. They will just send you a new firmware, which they develop themselves, so they are not dependent on any third-party manufacturer like PACE or Seplos or all the other BMSs out there. They're making their own software. And this will take them only days to implement new functionality and send this out, make this available online. This BMS also comes with Bluetooth connectivity on board of the BMS. So there's no additional cable or module or something you need to plug in. It has already Bluetooth functionality. The best part is it runs with the same Bluetooth app as all the other JK-BMSs. I'm really looking forward to see that. Capacity learning function. So 300 amps for 2 minutes it can handle. Yeah, and here we can see the app. This is exactly the app we already know about. And here's a table with the product specifications. It's very small. So in here we can see the product specifications of the new JK-BMS. It's a 100 amp BMS with a 1 amp balancer, 150 amp BMS with a 1 amp balancer, 150 amp BMS with a 2 amp balancer, and the same for the 200 amp BMSs as well, one with 1 amp and one with 2 amp balancer. Is it not easier if you only produce 3 BMSs with 1 active balancer inside? Lithium ion phosphate, LTO, you can see from 7S to 16S. Balance method, active balance. Here we can see it again, 1 amp, 2 amp, 1 amp and 2 amp. The choice is yours. We also have the internal resistance here, 1 milliohm for the 100 amp BMS, 0.65 milliohm for the 150 and 0.47 milliohms for the 200 amp BMSs. And I think this has something to do how many MOSFETs they have actually put into the BMS and are in parallel. The more MOSFETs you have in parallel, the lower your internal resistance, obviously. Continuous current, 100, 150, 200 amps. And this is the maximum discharge current the BMSs can withstand for 2 minutes maximum. So up to 350 amps. Then we've got the RS232, RS485 and CAN communication. Yes, these BMSs can have a display. Voltage range per cell is from 1 to 5 volts. The accuracy, 5 millivolt, give or take. Some people were already asking this, so here's the answer from the manufacturer. And then of course we've got all the protection parameters for current, voltages and temperatures we can freely set as always in these BMSs. Temperature protection, short current protection, column meter, and most important, these BMSs are upgradable. And as I said before, Jikong is making their own software, so we will see frequent updates for these BMSs hopefully. Also, this BMS comes with a Bluetooth functionality, unlike the PACE BMS for example. The parallel charging current limiter is 10 amps. I thought they give the 200 amp BMS a 20 amp current limiter, but we have only one inductor on here, so 10 amps may be correct. We've got the ADS or dip switches at the front of the communication board where we can set the parallel communication. Up to 16 BMSs can be paralleled. And the 2 relays here on the BMS have no functionality at the moment, they told me. They are still working on the software implementation because I suggested to them to make these relays customizable. So you can either select under temperature or an under voltage or whatever to close the contacts for one relay and an over temperature or an over voltage alarm for the next relay. And then you can trigger your event as per your needs. So let's see if this makes it into a firmware version update at some stage. In regards to the supported inverters the BMS can handle, Not all of these ones will be implemented at the beginning. So they're continuously rolling out new updates where new inverters are supported in. As I said, they're currently working on the Victron implementation. And as they told me, most of the inverters will use the pylon tag protocol anyway. And this is already implemented in the BMS. Man, I tell you, I'm so glad they are making their own software and we see frequent software updates for this BMS. Hopefully it'll be amazing. So, and one of the most frequently asked questions about the new JK-BMS, the inverter JK-BMS, is: can this BMS replace the PACE BMS and also the Seplos BMSes? Is it the same size? Will it be compatible with the cases we have seen? Well, let me show you. Well, here we have the 200 amp PACE BMS. We have tested with the Frankenstein battery recently. Yeah, so, well, first glance, it's obviously a lot larger. So it may not work to replace the PACE BMS directly with the JK-BMS. But let's have a look at the holes. If I align these two, well, there is one here in the PACE and the JK has one here. So this does not look very compatible. Even the other way around. Yeah, even here we've got an offset with the mounting hole. So also the depth of the JK-BMS is smaller than the PACE BMS. Well, obviously the displays are totally different. While the communication board looks actually exactly the same, I would say. The layout of the connectors is a bit different. But the front looks exactly the same. Well, and then of course we have to compare it to the Seplos BMS as well. Display, there's no communication board for the Seplos. This is all on one board. This is all on the main PCB. And this here is the 4850 10E, so version 2 of their BMS. But here we can potentially, so the width seems to be exactly the same. Depth looks pretty much the same, but the holes again won't line up, at least not the middle ones, which may not be actually necessary, because if you have 4 mounting points for your BMS, totally fine. Display, of course, completely different. And then we've got another BMS here we can compare it against, which is the Global Power BMS. It's a 150 amp BMS. And you can see the 2 inductors here making 20 amp of active balancing. Same width, same length. Oh yeah, and the middle hole is actually compatible with this one, but this one has a very odd shape here. Obviously the display of the Global Power BMS is completely different again to the JK-BMS display. Communication board is very much the same, only the LEDs are missing because they are on a separate board with this BMS. Yeah, here's the board with the LEDs on it. So there you go. I'll take the screenshot here. So I would say the JK-BMS is not compatible with any of the other BMSs we have tested here in the off-grid garage. Anything on the market. It's not like you take the Seplos BMS out of your battery box and install the JK-BMS instead. But you know what? I can see us doing this. I've got 2 Mason battery boxes here. They both have Seplos BMSs installed at the moment. And I'm really keen to replace these BMSs here with JK-BMSs, just to make the internal balancer actually work. And I'm sure we can just 3D print a little bracket which mounts to the front. Hang on. Yeah, this is actually the front of our Frankenstein battery, which I've never mounted. And it has the Seplos BMS already installed. So if we take this one out, we can potentially use these screws here in the corners and mount the JK-BMS instead. Well, the problem would then be that we have all the communication ports here already cut out in the metal, but there's still a lot of space here on this front panel. So I can also see that we could potentially mount the communication board up here, just above the BMS, and use the because this is the 4.6 inch display here or something. They've got a smaller one of 4 point something inch. So we can put the smaller display up here, the communication board up here. And we can 3D print some parts for that. Make a square cutout in the whole front panel and then make a new piece of front panel where all the LEDs sit in and the display, and make this clip into the metal front panel of the Seplos box. I'm sure this will work. Yeah, guys, and I've ordered a 3D printer now. I've got a couple of projects here where I need to produce some parts. I could make them out of metal or other material, but a 3D printer would be so much better, cleaner, more precise and consistent. So it should be here in the next 2 weeks. Then I'll do a full review video on this printer then as well. I've got no ideas about 3D printers. I just bought one. I said, well, you need to make a decision, buy one, get started and see how you go. Total 3D printing virgin. Okay, my friends, the workbench is cleaned up again from all these BMSes, and it just left us with a new and beautiful JK-BMS. Alright guys, so far this video from today. Having a first look at the new inverter style JK-BMS, all the features and specifications, footprint, size, compatibility with all the other BMS we have used here so far. Thank you already for all your comments under the last community post I did, where I teased you with this BMS. Please guys, leave all your comments down below under this video here and let me know what kind of tests you want me to do with this BMS. If you have specific questions, want to see more details about a certain feature or something, let me know. I'll try to fit them all into the next video when we install the JK-BMS in our Frankenstein battery again and make the beast alive again. Yep, that will come up in the next video. Because I also want to do a deep dive into the JK-BMS app. Want to see what new features they have implemented already. And we also want to have a look at the computer software for the JK-BMS as well. Because I have provided a lot of feedback to Jikong in China, what kind of features this new BMS should have. And I'm really keen to see how many of these features have already made it into the production version of the BMS. So I haven't checked any of the BMSes or the software yet. I have installed the software on the computer, very easy. It's just a double click on the exe file and the next, and you're done. But we will check this all out in the next video coming out 5 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. As always, 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm still asleep. So yeah guys, my first impression, it is a beautiful BMS, very well made. The workmanship and quality looks very, very high here. But at the moment, it is not too different from all the other BMSs we just had here on the workbench. It looks like it is a bit of a copy or a clone of the PACE BMS to me. It uses the exact same board with different connectors. So it really will come down to the software implementation and what kind of features it can offer. We already know it has a 1 amp or 2 amp active balancer, which none of the other BMSs have on the market. Apart from the old, smaller footprint JK-BMS, none of the other BMSs out there has an active balancer. So this will be the first and only one with an active balancer already included. Not even the Batrium or the Rec, what is the other one, can't remember, or the do-it-yourself BMS has an active balancer for this reason. So the JK is really the one and only on this planet with an active balancer. Okay guys, so far this video from today. Don't forget to leave all your questions, all your suggestions, what you want me to test, what do you want to know under this video here. Remember, don't send me emails. I'm getting about 25 emails a week. As I said before, I'm rather here in the garage and making a video for everyone than replying to individual emails. So please leave all your comments, all your questions, everything under the videos. I'm reading them. Other people read them, they help you out, because this is the best YouTube community out there. And until the next video, guys, when we do some magic stuff here. Oh yes, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then, bye bye. And what would be such a video without a discount code? So, the Hanksaw store is offering you $10 off this new JK-BMS, but only for the next 40 days. Wait, there's more. I also could negotiate another 8% discount codes on the Jikong battery. I know it's a pre-assembled battery, but not everyone is into do-it-yourself stuff. Some people haven't got the time, the skills, the tools, and they just want to buy a battery and use it. We have tested the JK battery here on the channel many times. It's a great battery, great design, great performance. So there you go, 8% off for the first 5 orders coming in. Both discounts for the JK-BMS and the JK battery are valid worldwide. As always guys, all the info under the video. And this is exclusively only for you because you have survived until the very end of this video.